Today's show is sponsored by Health IQ, an insurance company that helps health-conscious people like runners, cyclists, weightlifters and vegetarians get lower rates on their life insurance. To see if you qualify, get your free quote today at healthiq.com/TSS or mention the promo code TSS when you talk to a Health IQ agent. Welcome to the Total Soccer Show, on the road edition number 2. My name is Darryl Grove and I'm joined by Philadelphia's foremost tent fort studio builder. His name is Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello. We just had business cards made. Now I have to adapt them because that is not on there, but I like that title.
So if you listened to yesterday's show, we talked about how we sort of, we've got the Airbnb. It's actually very nice. I'm really pleased with that choice. But it's kind of echoey. So Taylor has essentially out of sheets built a fort in which we can record somewhat echo-free.
We think so. We hope so. Hopefully it's not like even more echoey and then I've kind of completely done all of this for nothing and really then haven't deserved the new business cards.
To give people an update, so we are now checked in at the United Soccer Coaches Convention. Unfortunately, the exhibit hall was closed when we visited today. So we got our credentials and walked around. We didn't actually see anything yet.
It was temporarily blocked off for reasons that are unknown.
For reasons that are unknown, for mysterious reasons. Yes. Tonight, we're hoping to go see the Cooligans. We can see those guys do stand-up. Tomorrow night, Thursday night, is the live show at Jose Pistola's 7 o'clock start here in Philadelphia. If you want to find more info, go to FIFA.wtf/Philly 2018.
I enjoyed the whites of your eyes there as they got a little bit bigger when you tried to remember that URL.
Yep, I'm quite impressed.
That's good stuff. I'm glad that you're quite impressed with yourself.
Omega Oils. All right, today's show is transfer, rumour, and completed deals updates, right? January transfer window is roughly halfway through right now, right?
Yep.
So, and some deals have happened, and some big deals are on the horizon.
Slightly more than halfway through.
Yeah, I'm not good at finding the halfway mark. Should we just start with the big one that everyone's talking about? This is the one all over the internet.
Sure.
It's Alexis Sanchez. It really looks like he might be on the move.
Yes, it does. So I guess we're not going completed moves yet, at least at time of recording.
Give the people what they want.
It is, 10:30 in England right now, so we think it won't be announced tonight.
There's no 11 p.m. press conference in Manchester.
There is, but I think only when it's like deadline day. Like I think Falcao was announced at 12:30 a.m., but I am imagining it will be tomorrow, but we'll see. There were some speculation that there were going to be 2 announcements tonight for Manchester United. I think those will probably come tomorrow.
We assume it was Sanchez's signing, and we'll explain why that's sort of still in the balance right now. It hasn't happened. And we think maybe Mourinho new contract is the second.
Yeah, I think the rumor is extended until 2021 with like a couple other options.
So just for so not everybody pays as close attention to the rumors as we do. So can you let people know what is going on with Alexis Sanchez and Manchester United?
Yeah, essentially, I think it was initially the story was that it was going to be Manchester United paying a fee probably lower than what you might expect, but that's because he's soon to be out of contract, similar to what happened with Robin van Persie, Manchester United, that transfer there.
And for those who don't know, like the transfer fee really is often based on the length of the player's contract remaining, because he can leave for free at the end.
And also because the selling club then has all the leverage. In this case, they have a little bit of leverage, but not as much.
Right? Because Alexis is pretty clear that he wants to go.
Then came the reports that it was actually going to be, I think initially it was a swap deal plus some cash from Manchester United to Arsenal. That swap deal would have been Mkhitaryan going the other way. Now it seems like, at least at time of recording, it might just be a straight swap with a lot of money paid off by Manchester United.
So my understanding is that Alexis and Manchester United have basically negotiated his personal terms. The Telegraph, I can't remember, one of the tea papers in England reported that today, that it was going to be, 14 million a year? It was sort of 270,000 or so a week after tax, which is a big number. Because top rate of tax in England is 45%, so you can almost double that to think of what his official wage will be. But the sticking point seems to be that maybe Mkhitaryan was not so keen to go in the other direction.
Well, I think it's essentially Mkhitaryan demanding the world, because he sort of can. Because
from Arsenal?
Yeah. No, from Man United, I think. Or from both, essentially, because he knows he can get everything he wants.
So he's the one with the leverage here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I think I saw somebody tweet out that it's essentially like he didn't move to Manchester United to be leverage for another transfer.
Yeah.
So from what I understand, he is demanding...
He moved to flick balls up into opposition players.
Yeah, exactly. From what I understand, he is demanding £180,000 per week. I think he's on something closer to 150 right now, so he wants a raise there. And then he also wants his United contract paid off. So his initial contract that he agreed to...
He just joined.
I know, he wants the full deal paid off, then he wants a new deal from Arsenal as well.
That makes Alexis very expensive all of a sudden. If you're also factoring in, you got to pay Mkhitaryan off.
I want to say it's something like approximating like 60 million when you add in all the fees they would have to pay, plus agent fees,
So
all that good stuff.
probably they'll negotiate down from there. Does he have a good agent?
I believe he has Mino Raiola.
Yeah,
so yes,
they're going to extract every last drop from Manchester United, right?
Yes, there is some idea that, Mino Raiola got a lot of money from Man United for Paul Pogba.
Yep.
So maybe there's a little bit of like, hey, come on, man. You made a bunch of money off of us. But I don't think he will do that, and especially because if he were to do that, then all of his other clients think, oh, okay, so you care about one client, not us. So I think he's going to go drive the hardest bargain he possibly can.
All right, so enough gossip, right? Let's assume that these moves go through. I want to talk about how this fits in on the field. I see the way you're pointing your finger at me that you don't.
I just do want to have like one quick clarification because if you're new to transfers or if you sort of have like somewhat of an understanding, you might be confused as to why Manchester United is negotiating with Alexis without him being a United player yet.
Yeah.
And I think because I know in the past there's been some confusion about like why isn't that tapping up if he hasn't agreed. In this case, the speculation would be that Arsenal would have approved him then going and talking to Man United.
There's also, you may not know this, but the rule is if
6
you're
months, that's right.
6 months and you're out of contract, then you can start negotiating.
Yep.
He could negotiate for a move for free in the summer if he wanted to. So they are absolutely free to discuss terms with other clubs once your contract gets down to 6 months.
I'm keenly aware of that because the man who nobody has mentioned yet, I'm a Man United fan, the man who nobody's been talking about is Juan Mata, who currently is free to sign with anybody he wants to because he is 6 months away from his contract expiring. So there's some idea that he might just be like, okay, fine, I guess I'm surplus to requirements. I'll go out and sign a new deal while you guys are all worried about this one.
All right, can we talk soccer?
We can.
Okay, so let's start with Alexis Sanchez at Manchester United.
Okay.
I would argue that he is, and I rate these players, but he's an because I think he's like a top tier player. Like maybe not Messi, but he's in that he's an almost top tier player, right? He's a better player than Martial, Lingard, Mata, any of those other sort of three attacking midfielder guys that will play behind Lukaku or Ibrahimovic or Rashford, or you know what I mean?
I think
he's a massive upgrade, both in terms
I agree
of
with that,
sort of. Weirdly, in a personality kind of way, he's got that super driven, competitive streak that kind of gets him in trouble. In terms of, it seems to he's fallen out with his Arsenal teammates, partly because of that recently. I actually think, just personality and character-wise, he's an upgrade for Manchester United.
I agree.
Not that any of those guys are lacking character, but he just brings this extra edge.
I still think this could be problematic for Manchester United. I really do. And I think that because if Sanchez comes in, he will probably want to play on the left wing, which is where Anthony Martial has been playing of late.
Will he? Is that where he likes to play? Or does he like to be a forward?
That's where he's been playing. I mean, they're not going to switch it up to suddenly have two forwards. I don't see United changing their entire game plan to accommodate one player midway through the season.
He could be an option for a different type of forward. Right? If you don't want the sort of target-ish guy that Lukaku is, if you do one day you're thinking about just going a little more pacey, a little more dribbly, Sanchez could be a guy for those games.
Could be, but I think that's not where he's going to start regularly because Lukaku is going to start there. So then I think either you're going to make Sanchez play in a different position than he's been playing, or you're going to make somebody else move to accommodate him. That player, it seems, would be Anthony Martial. If you do have Alexis on the left, then you move Martial to the right, potentially. But then Martial first came to United as a striker and already got pushed out wide. So I could see him getting frustrated because now he's been moved again to accommodate somebody else. Then the other stuff I've seen is from Raphael Honigstein saying that Bayern Munich were in negotiations and that they thought maybe his contract demands would unsettle the locker room. And it just, there have been a lot of rumors and stories about Sanchez unsettling the locker room and causing problem and causing friction. And it just makes me a little bit concerned that maybe you bring in another huge personality to a team that already has lots of huge personalities. And I guess Mourinho is the man to handle that, but it does still seem like it could be some drama.
Speaking of Mourinho, all right, so if Sanchez does play as a sort of attacking winger, does he have to do the Mourinho tracking back stuff? Because sometimes he does send a team out, and he's like, okay, we're going to man-mark Eden Hazard, we're going to have wingers, your primary job is to sort of make sure you don't sort of get caught too far up the field. Do we think Sanchez is a guy who'll buy into that?
I mean,
not?
It's funny you mentioned Eden Hazard because that is the player who wouldn't do that for Mourinho. It caused a lot of problems when they were both at Chelsea together.
Right.
And I mean, again, I guess that's what I mean.
And in Hazard's defense, once he didn't have to do that stuff anymore, then he suddenly became an even better player.
And I would say that Sanchez, I would still, as much as it pains me to say, I would guess that he probably would have preferred to go to Man City just because they probably could have more or less matched those wages, but also they're top of the Premier League by some distance.
He would have enjoyed his football more there.
And so there's just a part of me that can't help but can't shake that feeling that it is a little bit like, look, I'm happy to be here. It's a wonderful club, but I'm going to do what I kind of want to do. And you guys should just be happy I'm here. I can't get away from that feeling a little bit. Maybe I'm just being a pessimist because that's what I tend to be when it comes to the club that I support. But I just have that feeling of like, I think there could be some problems that maybe could easily be worked out, but I just see there's going to be some puzzle pieces that are going to have to be moved around.
Let's pivot to a club you don't support.
Sure.
Arsenal. So is this Mkhitaryan move to Arsenal... I think in a way they're better off moving on from Sanchez now because if they were to keep him at the end of January, it would be bad news because he'd be in a very bad mood, right? Yeah. That's not helpful. So is like losing a grumpy Sanchez and adding a somewhat happy to be there Mkhitaryan?
That's the thing, yeah. Is he though?
I don't know. It depends.
Is
he just negotiating for money or is he like, I don't want to play for Arsenal?
I mean,
we don't know.
From what I've seen, he's happy to be moving from Manchester to London. I think that's an upgrade for him in terms of lifestyle. That's it.
People forget that in England. Yeah. Everybody who comes there wants to live in London. Yeah. And didn't Ferguson used to say that it's sort of it's kind of a detriment that they can't... sometimes you can't attract players because they don't want to live in Manchester.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that is something that he'll be excited about. But it hasn't been a good season for Enrique Mkhitaryan. He doesn't seem to be in a good run of form. There have been some fitness issues as well. So it does make me wonder if maybe it could go one of two ways. It could be either he goes to Arsenal, he's rejuvenated, he wants to prove that you guys were wrong, I'm an amazing player, and he lights the league on fire.
That's the optimistic version I'm imagining.
Yeah, or it could be like, I guess I'm here, sure, I'll play. Can you pay me my contract? Let me try some tricks and flicks, and I'm not really going to buy into the system again.
Right, so what sort of player is Mkhitaryan? Because I remember the guy at Dortmund who was really exciting and really dangerous and seemed to fit into a Klopp. Was it Klopp? Was that? Yeah, definitely Klopp. System. And I see the guy at Man United, and it's not quite the same. So which Mkhitaryan are Arsenal getting? If they get him.
I mean, it's tough to say. I think, and it's tough to say because I genuinely can't really say with a lot of confidence what type of player Enrique Mkhitaryan is right now. Because I'm with you that he was that hard-driven, hard-working, creative, exciting, but like fundamentally sound player with Dortmund. He looked like he was going to be that with United as well. That hasn't really panned out. And instead, a lot of the times this season, I've wanted to defend him. I really like him. I like a lot about him personally, and then I've liked what I've seen from him with Dortmund. But it's been him trying little tricks and flicks and trying overly elaborate passes when the simple thing is on. And I've seen him really pass the ball to opposition, pass the ball out of bounds, and overhit kicks a lot of times, and it's been frustrating.
Is it that he's maybe just not the type of player that like sort of meshes well with Jose Mourinho? So for that reason, it's better that they part ways and he goes and plays for someone else.
Yes, and so there's a decent chance that he goes to Arsenal, and then it is a little bit more free-flowing. It's about creative technical possession, and maybe that does kind of suit him a bit more. And I think it probably makes sense in that regard because if you are Arsenal going with like the 3-4-2-1, you're kind of just replacing Sanchez with a player who wants to play in that space. Maybe Ozil switches over, but I still think it's going to be the two of them, Ozil and Mkhitaryan.
Okay. So, anything else to add on this? Because I want to move on to another player. We've got quite a few to get through here.
I mean, I think the player we've got to get to is another Arsenal player, though. Well, former Arsenal player at this point.
Theo Walcott. Yep. So the news today, we saw the weird unveiling video, is Theo Walcott has left Arsenal and joined Everton Football Club. There's sort of no official fee, but the fee I've seen mentioned is £20 million.
Yes. Yeah. That is what I've seen as well. I enjoyed what Baking Thrones, that Reddit username, said, which was Theo versus Ox in the Merseyside derby while we watch Welbeck stumble into every left back. Life is fun.
What did you make of this move then when you saw this?
I think it's always strange when you see a player that you really identify with one specific club move to a completely different one. It's just always weird to see Theo Walcott not wearing an Arsenal jersey. It's like Arsenal England. That's it for him. Yeah.
So when they did the unveiling video, it zooms in from outside of Goodison Park and like goes through the stadium and then goes through some hallways. I think it's kind of like the Goodfellas shot, and then you finally sort of land on Theo Walcott in front of a green screen. And he kind of opens his mouth. Yeah. And I feel like he's about to explain what happened and why he's here, to sort of explain why he's an Everton player, but then it just cuts.
He's going to let his time on the pitch do the talking. I'll also add before we get emails and tweets, yes, I know he came from Southampton. I know he's not an Arsenal Academy product, but when there is that player...
nearly 12 years.
Exactly.
Nearly a dozen years.
He is identified as an Arsenal player. That's what we've seen, for 12 years. So to see him somewhere else is a little bit odd.
I think I mentioned either last show or the show before about the conversation I saw on BT Sports with Rio Ferdinand talking about sort of what we all expected of Theo Walcott back in 2006. And for those who don't remember, he was a 16 or 17-year-old called up to the England World Cup squad to go to the World Cup in 2006. And then I think he never saw a minute of action there.
I think he was a very fast young player with a lot of potential.
Yes. And the argument in the studio, for at least with Rio Ferdinand, he was saying essentially that and he's kind of never really moved to the level that people have expected of him.
And now he is a pacey player.
Yeah. So I've also seen a lot of people defending him, saying that I think Mike Goodman from Double Pivot, saying that he actually has developed into a really good player, but he's been unlucky with a lot of injuries, and that's the reason why he's sort of never on this great season-long run of form that everybody's into. I'm not sure I 100% agree with that, because I've definitely seen times when he's been fit and he just hasn't been in the Arsenal first team.
Yeah.
Right? So, do we expect big things of Theo at Everton? Do we expect him to finally get to play centre-forward, as he's always said he wants to, or is he going to be stuck out on the right wing for Sam Allardyce again?
I would guess he's going to be stuck out on the right wing for Sam Allardyce once again.
Why so?
Because they just signed Cenk Tosun from Besiktas, who's a center forward. He's an out-and-out center forward. Maybe they move him around a little bit. Maybe they try to do a front two. But I think more than likely it's going to be, I think Yannick Bolasie has been starting on the right wing in a 4-2-3-1 for Everton under Sam Allardyce. I think that's probably where Theo Walcott goes.
Maybe he does a bit. So there's a chance that he's back where he was at Arsenal, right? Where he's sometimes the right winger, sometimes a centre forward. And if he's in bad form, maybe he just doesn't play.
Yeah, I think, though, if he's in bad form is the kind of outlier there. Yeah. Because what I would say is that if you start him at right wing and you play him at right wing every single game as a starter, that's what he becomes, and that's where he's comfortable. But if it is, you're here, you're there, you didn't look so good, so we're going to move you back. Like the one thing that players need is a run of form. You've got to kind of get into the groove. You've got to find your way through and then kind of establish that, and then suddenly you're on fire. But if you're a right winger, now you're a center forward. We're going to move you back to right wing, but you're going to maybe switch up to center forward at halftime. Yeah. Okay, now you're not going to start. You just kind of can't find that consistency.
I've got a more simplistic explanation for why it might work out for Theo Walcott. Playing for Arsenal so many times, they maybe have there's the famous thing of them having possession for too long. They don't really play on the counter as much as they sort of have the personnel to do with pacey strikers. Everton tend to play on the counter a lot more because they're a bit more of a defensive team, right? So if Walcott has more room to run into, it might work out better for him at Everton. The game might be set up better for him at Everton, who will sometimes go and defend and break, versus Arsenal, where it's pass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
this could absolutely work out. At centre forward or on the right wing, he'll have some room to go.
They need something, though, because one thing I didn't realize until I started looking into it, Everton have not won since December 18th.
Yeah. So
6 games winless.
Sam Allardyce had this great start, and everyone was like, he's fixed it. And then it's like the roller coaster has gone downhill, So this might be Walcott might be the sort of injection that helps them sort of get back on track.
It is worth noting they had 2 draws in a row, then 4 losses in a row. Those 4 losses were Bournemouth. Okay, that's probably not good. But then United, Liverpool, Spurs. So it is also coinciding with a difficult run in the fixtures.
Yeah.
So maybe that explains that. The one thing I was looking at, Daryl, and this is where I'm aware that I'm probably going to get some angry messages for this one.
Is that right, Taylor?
I think there's an argument to be made that Everton's squad right now is better than Arsenal's, which is weird to think. Because if you go
send those tweets at Taylor, not at Total Soccer Show. I don't want to be on the end of those.
I mean, well, just hear me out for a second. Now, I know there's lots of injuries, so I'm not trying to kind of go down that route. I'm just talking about right now. I mean, Arsenal's squad, if you insert Mkhitaryan, if that move goes through, it's basically Lacazette, Ozil, Mkhitaryan, Maitland-Niles, because Nacho is injured, or Nacho Monreal, excuse me, Wilshere, Xhaka, Bellerin, Holding, Mustafi, Chambers, check. That's an okay team, but it's not one of those Arsenal teams that lights the world on fire, whereas Everton right now is Pickford, Martina, you've got Jagielka or Williams.
I don't think Martina's ever getting in the Arsenal team, for example.
I mean, no, but I saw Maitland-Niles. I wasn't very impressed by him right now.
To be fair, I don't think Maitland-Niles is long-term a left-back. I think he's kind of filling in there right now.
Well, he is, but so is Martina for Leighton Baines. He's injured. So then there's that. But you've got Jagielka or Williams, and then Mason Holgate would be the other center back.
Michael Keane hanging around?
Yeah, you've got Kenny at right back. Bellerin probably beats him there. But then Idrissa Gueye or Tom Davies, James McCarthy, or who am I thinking? Schneiderlin. Morgan Schneiderlin is the other holding midfielder. I think Arsenal wouldn't mind having him. And then Gylfi Sigurdsson, Wayne Rooney, Theo Walcott, and Cenk Tosun. I'm just saying it's not as like
Yeah,
clear.
Ozil, Lacazette have the upper hand.
That's definitely true. I just think that it's closer than you'd think if you were compiling the best 11 from those two teams.
Yeah.
It isn't 9 Arsenal players and 2 Everton. It's probably closer to like 6-5.
Okay,
which is just kind of strange to me.
All right, so Taylor, get ready for your inbox to fill up.
Well, and I want to say that's not me like reveling in that, and that's not being like, oh man, Arsenal are terrible.
Is it just essentially saying Everton should be better than they are?
That's one part of it, but it is also, I guess it is sort of Arsenal are terrible, but I mean that from a perspective of they shouldn't be. And like I like it when Arsenal are good. It's much more fun. Yeah. And we know plenty of Arsenal fans. I think that's the largest supported Premier League club in Richmond, I would say. They've got a huge supporters group. And those guys are all good guys. We know them. And I know that they are hurting right now, that they are not enjoying life. And it just seems like if you bring in Mkhitaryan, that helps a little bit because you've gotten one away Sanchez gone. But I still think there's a chance that if you just got $25 million for Sanchez or a little bit more, you could reinvest that and bring in, say, Aubameyang or somebody else, or maybe Christian Pulisic. You bring him in and get a lot of jersey sales, make more money. Let's
talk about potential incoming Arsenal signings then, because Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, we didn't mention this when we did the Dortmund review, he was left out of the team in Dortmund's game against Wolfsburg at the weekend because he didn't show up to a team meeting, and the team meeting was about sort of team spirit.
Yeah.
So which is a very deliberate thing of being like, I don't want to be part of this anymore. I want to leave, right? If you remember, Aubameyang was all about moving to Real Madrid in the summer, and it didn't go through. It seems like he's trying to force a move right now. And the two clubs I see picking him up are either Real Madrid, because they're in a desperate run of form, they're not scoring goals. We saw the Villarreal game, right? They had 20-something shots on goal, but only one of them was close up, and a lot of them were from distance. They never looked like scoring, really. And then you've got Arsenal, who maybe need some added firepower and would be a great exit for Aubameyang. So I'm looking at now as like almost like an Arsenal versus Real Madrid. Where does Aubameyang go? Because he's not staying at Dortmund after what's just happened.
I know this is considered like a good problem to have, but if Aubameyang goes to Arsenal, didn't they just sign Lacazette this summer? So that's another one of like, do you put the two of them up top and do 2 strikers? That seems like a kind of problem that you're going to have to sort out because that's not what Arsenal have been doing.
Yeah.
So that seems a little bit odd to me. I think also maybe Aubameyang really liked that move right up until Real Madrid were in crisis and his favorite club, the club he's always wanted to play for, are suddenly looking around thinking, maybe we do need to reinforce. Maybe we do want to spend some money for you. Yeah, maybe that makes him back away from Arsenal just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would tempt me towards Real Madrid because, for one thing, you'd be sort of more guaranteed to play. But also, I think Aubameyang's a superior player to Lacazette, and I'm a fan of Lacazette's game.
Yeah. It's strange to me anytime a club buys one player in the summer and then looks at buying another player who plays a roughly similar position 6 months later.
That means those 6 months have gone badly.
I would say so.
The other rumour I see about Real Madrid is that maybe Aubameyang or maybe Mauro Icardi.
I've seen Raheem Sterling as well, and I've seen Mohamed Salah.
Rumours are flying around. But all of this would be next summer, I believe, right? So it's almost like maybe Real don't make a big splash this January. Which is weird, right? Because they're reeling right now.
They are, which means it's either they make a splash or maybe Zidane goes, which still seems like an insane thing. Though I think that's what I predicted if they got eliminated from the Champions League.
Did you mention this to me earlier that maybe Real are thinking, okay, we're not going to spend a bunch of money, we're going to like ride it out with Zidane, and then we fire him or let him go or whatever agreement they come to, and then the new guy in the summer gets to spend all the money?
It's possible, but I still just think that would be very short-sighted from Real Madrid. And I don't think that will happen. I think mostly because I don't want it to happen because I like Zidane coaching Madrid. I think that makes it very interesting.
Yeah.
And also he's won them 2 Champions League titles in a row and also La Liga. It seems like it would be weird to then fire him for being in 5th place.
All right, a few more transfers to come.
Yeah.
But first, I've got a quiz for you, Taylor.
I've
got a quiz for you because today's show is brought to you by Health IQ, an insurance company that helps health-conscious people like runners, cyclists, weightlifters, vegetarians get lower rates on their life insurance. If you go to healthiq.com/TSS, you'll be supporting the show and you'll see if you qualify for the lower rates. They want to reward healthy people for living healthy lifestyles.
Is a vegetarian triathlete like their dream
I believe
person?
So. Yeah. A vegetarian triathlete would be their dream person. I'm trying to choose a quiz for. I've actually got all the quizzes in front of me here. How about this one? Nutrition. Mood-enhancing food for winter.
Oh, boy.
Yeah? All right, we're going to start this quiz. You ready? I'll ask you 3 questions, see how you do. Okay. First question. Certain foods might help boost mood because of their aromas. The smell of what is associated with promoting relaxation?
Pop-Tarts.
It's an automatic fail.
That was a joke, yeah.
Capsicum, ammonia, cayenne, or lavender? Which of those aromas helps promote relaxation?
I mean, I would assume lavender?
You are correct.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get you to the next question. You ready?
I think I would rather smell cayenne, but sure.
Would you sniff cayenne?
I mean, I wouldn't want to sniff
have a
it,
violent
but I feel
sneezing
like
reaction.
cayenne implies like delicious things are cooking while it's cold outside.
Yeah.
Lavender is more so like, oh, that's a nice candle. Can we have dinner now?
I mean, you can do both things.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Plain oatmeal makes a warming breakfast food and can help stave off hunger later at holiday parties.
True.
Because of its omega-3s. What did I mention omega oils earlier? Omega-3s, lycopene index, theobromine levels, or fiber content.
I mean, I'm going to say fiber content because I don't know what two of the other three options are.
You are correct.
Hooray!
You got time for one more?
Sure.
See if you can get 3 out of 3. Okay. Which food rich in vitamin E and omega-3s, vitamin E, excuse me,
Thank you.
is linked with...
I was completely lost.
Is linked with improving cognitive function and overall mood in males, according to a study.
Fish.
Is it kale, bananas, nutritional yeast, or walnuts? Oh, this one's tougher, right?
Fish.
Fish is not an option.
Kale?
Yeah,
Bananas.
vitamin E and omega-3s. Kale, bananas, nutritional yeast, or walnuts?
Oh, boy. I'm kale or
You gotta choose
walnuts?
one.
Kale.
Kale? Incorrect. It was walnuts. But you still got 22 points so far on this quiz. There's a lot more to go.
It was between the two. I'm mad at myself.
So basically, if you get enough correct answers in a quiz like this, you get sort of extra points on your health IQ profile, which can get you better rates on your life insurance. You can also get better rates by sending them data. Like if you wear a Fitbit and you go running, prove that you go running, you can get better rates on your life insurance through health IQ.
I'm just saying health IQ, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which happened to be on in the pizza parlor that we were in earlier today.
Don't mention that when you're doing one of the
I'm
quizzes.
just saying they have lifelines. Like if I had a 50-50 there, I could have chosen walnuts.
Well, to see if you qualify, get your free quote at healthiq.com/TSS or mention the promo code TSS when you talk to a Health IQ agent. Thank you to Health IQ for sponsoring today's Total Soccer Show and making it healthy.
And let me just say this, what that test proved kind of confirmed what I already believe, which is that kale is never the answer.
I actually had that kale bar earlier. Was not great. I won't name the... it wasn't RX bar. So
and that was the problem, I think.
Yeah, I think that was the problem.
More rumors or more confirmed moves? Which would you prefer?
You got a confirmed move for me?
I do.
Yeah, send it my
Arda
way.
Turan moving to Istanbul
Arda!
Başakşehir. Yeah.
To where, sorry?
Istanbul Başakşehir, more commonly known as Istanbul BB.
Is that the team that sort of wasn't one of the famous Istanbul teams,
Yes.
but kind of either won the league or finished second last season?
I believe finished second.
They had a good run at
Beşiktaş,
it, right?
I believe, won it last year.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have a lot of investment. That's where Adebayor is playing now. That's where Gael Clichy is playing now. They also, Arda Turan joins them, which means they now have 4 players who have assaulted journalists. So that's great.
Wow.
Would have been 5, but they got rid of Yalçın Ayhan last year. So don't have to worry about that one, but still 4 there. The other thing that I found fascinating about this one is that Arda Turan, I would say, not the greatest run at Barcelona, especially given that when he joined, they had the transfer embargo, so he kind of had to train by himself and then eventually got registered. It ended up being a £55 million transfer total when you incorporate salary and the transfer fee, agency fees, etc., which translates to...
What, this transfer or when Arda joined Barcelona?
When Arda joined Barcelona,
Okay.
which translates to €1 million per match played or 3.6 million euros per goal.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow, Arda.
So sometimes big money moves don't always work out.
You heard it here first. Anything else on Arda?
That's pretty much it, other than I'm kind of surprised that this move happened, but I think it speaks to the lack of financial power at Galatasaray right now because that's where he came from. Galatasaray to Atletico to Barcelona.
They would have loved him back.
I would have assumed so, but he has not moved back. Then again, he is not the most popular person in Turkey right now for a variety of different reasons, so maybe that factors in as well.
Can you get into those reasons?
I think
don't know what they are.
there's some political issues, there are some philosophical issues, shall we say, and then also he assaulted a journalist. So that doesn't really help either.
I thought Erdogan would have been pro assaulting journalists.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Just saying, he's a bad man.
I'm checking the room.
Again, there's a microphone in front of you. We are bugged.
We're in Pennsylvania, which is where Fethullah Gulen lives. I'd watch yourself, Daryl.
We're actually staying with him. He's
What are you doing?
Speaking of Turkey, we just check outside the fort.
I'm genuinely freaked out right now.
Speaking of Turkey,
Yeah.
we've got to talk about this Kyle Larin to Beşiktaş move.
Sure.
So it had all the hallmarks of a move that had happened, right? Because there was the photo.
I mean, I tweeted that.
Larin in a Beşiktaş jersey, Larin with the electrodes on him. This is the Canadian striker from plays for Orlando. With the electrodes on him as part of, that's an EKG for his medical. And then Orlando say, we haven't received a transfer bid. We don't know anything about this deal. He's officially an Orlando player. We're expecting him to show up for preseason very soon.
Yeah.
Took a little bit of reading to figure out what had happened, but I think I have the picture.
Yeah, future listicle writers are very pleased with this one because it's another example of a player who posed with a jersey and then that move maybe isn't going to come off.
Here's why this happened.
Let's do it.
So Kyle Larin had a 3-year contract with Orlando from 2015, right? So 2015, 2016, 2017.
I feel like the abbreviated answer for this is cuz MLS, but sure,
The abbreviated answer is because MLS, right? So he had a 3-year contract. He thought, or he believed, he was out of contract at the end of 2017, which meant he was a free agent. He could go and join Besiktas on a free starting January 1st because his contract would have expired December 31st, 2017, okay? But because it's an MLS contract, there was a clause, a one-way option for Orlando to extend his contract if they so desired. And apparently they triggered that clause in November. So the season is over. They triggered the clause in November 2017, which means his contract now goes to 2018. If they want, they can also trigger the clause to go all the way through to 2019 if that's what they want to do. So this is the problem. Larin either believes or says he was done after 3 years. Orlando say, no, we triggered it. We've put an extra year on it.
So the question is, did they trigger it because they want to keep him or do they trigger it because they want a fee?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the answer is yes.
Either, maybe,
Yeah.
I guess.
So, Larin told, apparently, I saw a quote, he told the Orlando Sentinel, I'm out of contract at the end of December 2017.
Yeah.
It's time to move on. Orlando City SC say they had him sign a piece of paper acknowledging that he knew about the option in his contract, the one-way option in his contract. So, it seems like I think maybe he knows, but he kind of disagrees with it philosophically, which I think is the correct stance. And this is maybe he thought, I'm just going to do it and ask forgiveness rather than ask permission.
That's possible.
Yeah.
The other possibility is that he doesn't have a very good agent or a very good lawyer, and maybe they were just like, sign here, sign here, sign here, sign here, and while they may have shown him that piece of paper, he might not have recognized exactly what it was and just been like, yeah, sure, I'll sign that, and there's a year option that he no longer realizes is there.
But the thing for me is this, I think this is a terrible, terrible move from Major League Soccer. It's just another example of them making it hard for players to move out of MLS and to European teams. Well, that's adding a secret 1-year extension to his contract.
Isn't that slightly unfair, though? Because aren't you saying like the actions of one club and now you're transferring that onto the entire league?
I mean, he's contracted by the league.
This is true.
Right? So there's that element. Officially, his paycheck comes from Major League Soccer.
True, but it is the actions of Orlando City. It's not like Don Garber said, no, trigger that option.
I actually don't know. You don't know how these decisions come down,
true.
right? MLS head office could be involved in some way. Because MLS would see a cut of that transfer fee as well.
This is true.
So, I mean, to me, if he's made it clear he wants to leave, you really should. If you're genuinely supporting the players who are in your league, helping them further their careers by going overseas, you should not be doing things like triggering extra years on their contract to make the move more difficult.
I mean, that's the difference, right? Because generally I would disagree with that. I would say, like, no, if he signed a contract for 5 years and then he wants to leave after 2 years, tough, man. You got 3 years left. But when it is sort of a good faith agreement, 3 years, and then there is this weird option that maybe he didn't quite understand or maybe wasn't explained to him, maybe was hidden from him, who knows? That does seem a little bit more suspicious and a little less good faith-y.
It says everything. I'm on a bit of an MLS rant here, but it says everything about the sort of balance of power in Major League Soccer when players sign contracts that this has happened, right? Yeah. It means the league has all the cards and they play them whenever they want and they kind of don't do things in the best interest of their players.
They're playing cards against Larin?
Cards against Larin. So, this has kind of upset me from an MLS perspective because it seems like, I know I always thought there's all the complicated rules and I get it. Maybe the league is set up in this weird way just to try and make sure it doesn't fall apart, right? But when you use those rules to harm players' careers, which is essentially what they've done, in the interest of just getting more money through the doors. Yeah, it's really hard to support that at all.
And I think to that point about like harming players' careers, you're absolutely correct. I mean, we're talking about a club who I believe, it's been a while since we watched, but I believe are in the Champions League knockout rounds.
Right.
So, I mean, and are the current Turkish champions, as we talked about. So that's kind of like frustrating to maybe eliminate the possibility that he could be playing for them, playing in Europe, playing in the top competition or club competition in the world. Yeah. And as I think you told me off air, Heath Pierce, was it? Made the point that
Heath Pierce was tweeting that he had a move, or someone else noted that Heath Pierce had a move to a Turkish team. I can't remember the name of it. It's like a mid-table-ish team. And essentially they just couldn't get around his MLS contract and figure it out, and they kind of just gave up. And the move didn't happen because MLS contracts are so complicated. That's what Heath Pierce was tweeting, that it could be sort of ill will on Major League Soccer's part, or it could be that Besiktas are just like, have never had to deal with this before and don't really understand how to navigate it. And they could end up just giving up on the deal because it's too complicated.
It could be two things, which is it could be that they end up giving up because the contract is so difficult. And again, that's where it goes to you're hurting his career at that point because now it's a club who are interested. But also, I would say other clubs might then see that and think, I don't want to deal with that. That seems really complicated. No, we're good. And suddenly he's either back at Orlando where he doesn't want to be, or he gets shipped off to another Major League Soccer club where I would venture to guess he doesn't want to be.
Yep. All of those things could happen.
Are they not? They're not clubs, though, are they? They're teams. Isn't that what we always get corrected on? Yeah.
Right?
Excuse me.
But yeah, so if you look at this, if you looked at it without all the contract stuff, you would say, all right, Kyle Larin, talented young striker, 3 years in MLS, perfect amount of time to really up his game to the top level he can in Major League Soccer. Perfect time to move on.
Yep.
Right? I don't know how old. I think he's very early 20s.
Okay.
So it's the perfect time to go to Europe. Right? You've got professional experience under your belt in Major League Soccer. It's time to go. But MLS is making it hard.
Yeah,
right.
As they do.
And I guess rant over.
And there have been rumors of Besiktas exploring a loan option for Danny Welbeck.
Okay.
That seems like a player who might be filling into the same position that Kyle Larin would, so maybe we're already starting to see.
Right? This chance could pass. Oh, maybe Wolves could put a bid in.
Yeah,
I could be Wolves' Major League Soccer advisor.
I love every time any player from Major League Soccer is linked away, you try to link them to Wolverhampton.
I want Kellyn Acosta, Kyle Larin, I want them all at Wolves.
Sure.
The Ruben Neves, Kellyn Acosta central midfield? That could work.
Sure.
Up next?
Yeah.
You got anything else?
Yeah.
Actually, my piece of paper is done over here, but I know yours is a bit longer. So what's going on over there?
It is. One quick one is that if Aubameyang were to move to Arsenal, there are increased reports that Olivier Giroud could be moving to Dortmund, or even if the Aubameyang move doesn't happen, maybe he moves elsewhere.
Swap deals all over the place at Arsenal.
Yeah. You never know. So that would be interesting.
Isak was the centre forward for Dortmund at the weekend in the absence of Aubameyang.
They're going to need somebody.
That's not necessarily a like for like in terms of experience. I mean, Isak's a Swedish teenager.
Yeah.
So that's not quite the same. Yeah.
Not so much now. So that's a move to keep an eye on. Then the other rumor that seems to be picking up steam, which is strange to me, is Andy Carroll to Chelsea. So The Guardian reporting today, Chelsea initially wanted a 6-month loan. Shockingly, West Ham said no, they want £20 million. That's $5 million more than they paid Liverpool for him.
Why would West Ham give up one of their starting strikers on a 6-month loan for no reason?
It doesn't really make any sense. But he is 29 years old right now, 18 months left on a contract worth £70,000 a week.
Okay.
So I think maybe they're looking at him and thinking, in the current market, that's a decent buy. He's also eligible for Europe, so maybe Chelsea are into that.
Yeah,
and then
into that.
And then the flip side, it sounds like West Ham are maybe trying to clear out some people. I think Chicharito has also been, not necessarily publicly, but I think maybe West Ham are quietly saying, hey, you want this guy?
Shopping him around.
Yes.
Shopping him around a little bit. Yeah. Maybe back to Liga MX? Can have a Chicharito versus Donovan showdown somewhere?
That is a possibility. I think Major League Soccer, also a possibility.
So Andy Carroll to Chelsea, is this like as a backup to Morata?
I think as a backup / a poke in the ribs to Morata of, hey man, get it together, start finishing your chances, otherwise this guy could come in and score with his head.
We haven't talked about this before, but I weirdly rate Andy Carroll. I think he's technically a better footballer than people give him credit for, because they only see the big, tall centre forward, like kind of aggressive in the air type thing.
This is me tilting my head and looking at you. Yeah. For real?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he's Pele, but he's...
No, it's one or the other. It's one or the other.
It's not like the ball bounces off him and he can't control the ball. You know what I'm saying?
Pele or squad player. It's your choice, Daryl. I think the other issue, and maybe the reason why it's difficult to sort of like appreciate that aspect of Andy Carroll's game, if you want to say he has that, is that he is also fairly injury prone. He gets injured.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, and so I think that also...
That's the reason not to pay £20 million for him.
For a 29-year-old who's injury prone. Yeah, I'd say so.
Oh, dear.
But I think if that move were to happen, I think Chelsea maybe don't mind coughing up that bit of money, recognizing the fact that there's not much of a sell-on after that. But it also frees up other moves. I think Michy Batshuayi wants a move. I know I just butchered that one. I apologize.
Batshuayi.
Thank you, Batshuayi. Yeah. He wants the move to Sevilla, and I think on loan. So maybe if Andy Carroll comes in, then that loan move happens. But it seems like we're setting up an end of the transfer window where it's going to be a lot of those chain reaction, lots
dominoes,
of stuff held up.
The dominoes are all being carefully arranged right now, and at some point, someone's going to like push the first one, and they're all going to like drop around the table.
Yep.
Yeah. And have you ever seen the one that spells Wenger out?
No.
But
I like it.
It might end up like that.
All right.
Can I make a final pitch before we move on for Andy Carroll at Chelsea?
Sure.
That only just occurred to me as you were talking. I was listening. His injury proneness, it's a problem when you're sort of desperate to have him be your starting striker and you're just waiting for him to come back and you're like, oh, all our problems will be solved once Andy Carroll's finally fit. If you're kind of the backup or you're only playing 30 minutes here and there, one, there's less chance of him getting injured because he's not having to play so much. Because you don't rush him back and then force him and then his knees give out. Two, it's kind of good to not be so reliant on him. You're just like, when he's available, we throw him in there. When he's not, we don't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's a good situation for him.
I think that's kind of what he has at West Ham right now, though, right? Like, he's got a lot of other forward options in there.
Yeah, but I think he starts at West Ham when he's available. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
It's very different.
Yeah. Well, maybe he becomes the leading scorer in the second half of the season and goes to the World Cup with England, and then you get to see just how technical he is, Daryl.
You said that with malice.
I sure did. I think it's mostly because we were in the lift on the way from the train station to our Airbnb.
Yeah.
I feel very modern right now. Last night, and our driver was Egyptian. And I was like, oh, that's good. At least your team qualified. Ours didn't. And you're like, well, mine did. And suddenly I felt like the odd man out. So maybe that's where the bitterness comes from.
I was bonding with that driver.
Thanks.
Okay, any more before we talk about some young Americans?
No, but there are some young Americans and some moves relating to them in the Scouting Network.
Yes. Okay, so should we lead our Scouting Network reports with Americans on the move?
Sure.
Would you like to go first?
First one comes from Will Cunningham and Todd Brennan, scouting Cameron Carter-Vickers, 20-year-old American centre back for Tottenham.
He's that important. We've got him double scouted.
Yep.
Yeah.
An emphasis on for Tottenham.
Yep.
Because CCV has been recalled by Tottenham following a loan spell at Sheffield United for the first half of the season. He made 17 appearances in the Championship, all of them starts, and recorded 1 goal and 2 assists. Spurs had initially indicated that they wouldn't be looking to recall him, but after he fell out of the squad entirely in the last few matches, they reconsidered their position.
He fell out of the Sheffield United squad.
Yes. Reaction to the loan recall by Sheffield fans on Twitter ranged from best wishes for his future to outright elation at his departure.
He's had some high-profile mistakes, right? He's had that back pass, for example, that didn't... It turned into an assist for the opposition.
His last game for them, I think he was subbed off in like 30 minutes or so, subbed off in the first half at the very least. That is not great. Speculation is that he will be loaned out again in order to continue his development, although William hopes he stays with Spurs for their busy second half of the season.
So what I'm seeing is some US national team fans are almost thinking of this as like a promotion.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, he's done his thing at Sheffield United. He's been recalled by Spurs. That means he's going to be playing in the Premier League.
Yep.
My feeling is that I was about to say Otati, the manager, Pochettino, our friend Albert. It's a little bit like Pochettino.
He looks a lot bit like Pochettino.
Pochettino.
Actually, I think Pochettino might be. No, he's older. He's definitely older.
Pochettino has seen that okay, we send you there to get minutes. But he likes to keep players in-house so they can develop under his tutelage, right? So if you're not getting minutes and you're away from the team, and it's a distance from London to Sheffield, we may as well just call you back in. So he's not been called back in to play minutes for Spurs necessarily, although there's a chance that happens. It's more that he's been called back in probably to be on the bench or play for the reserve side, but at least be under Pochettino's watchful eye. No one's displacing Davison Sanchez or Vertonghen from that lineup right now.
It seems unlikely. Next report, Daryl?
Is from Aaron Killer. Scouting Taylor Booth, the 16-year-old American midfielder. So, not much to report other than the tweet from Stephen Goff saying that his source said that the deal with Bayern Munich, which is where Taylor Booth has been linked to, was, quote, happening, unquote, but that nothing was official yet. No word on whether Taylor has a European passport or not, which he would need to officially sign with the European club before his 18th birthday in 2019. That could be the sticking point, or maybe the reason this deal doesn't happen.
You bit off more than you could chew with the or not, didn't you?
Yeah.
Love it. Russell.
Thank you, Aaron, for the Taylor scout report.
Russell Varner scouting Hugo.
My favorite Taylor.
Hugo Ariano. Fair. 19-year-old American defender for the LA Galaxy. Stop me if you've heard this before, says Russell. The Galaxy announced Tuesday that they have signed yet another defender with a difficult name to pronounce. That would be Emre Kilmenta.
You did it just fine.
Yeah. Well, Emre. Yeah, I got that one. That leaves Ariano as one of 8 defenders on a revamped back line. In fact, Ariano is one of just 4 defenders remaining from the Galaxy's opening day roster in 2017. The Galaxy opened their training camp this Monday, where Ariano will most likely fight for a backup role at his natural center back position, or as Ashley Cole's backup at left back.
All right. Best of luck to Hugo Ariano.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll play a back 8. We'll see.
I mean, I would say this. A backup option is still better than where he was last year, where he was like backup to the backup and thus playing for Los Dos.
All right, Patrick Keeler is scouting Anthony Robinson, the left-back we're all excited about. He's a 20-year-old American left-back on loan at Bolton from Tottenham. Patrick says Anthony's long-rumoured loan extension at Bolton was announced. He will be staying with the club until the end of the year. I'm going to guess the end of the season.
Yeah.
The on-field news was the usual. Anthony started, played 90, and was highly rated by the local press, even as the team lost to Brentwood, and Anthony was guilty of a weak-headed clearance that led to Brentwood's opener. Is this in the FA Cup?
Yes.
There's no maybe Brentford?
That would be my guess, as he meant Brentford.
Yeah.
John Adams scouting Shaun Harrison, 20-year-old English striker for Tottenham. Although maybe it was Brentwood where O.J. Simpson lived. You never know. Maybe they've entered the FA Cup.
I'm sure they have a team in the FA Cup.
Yeah. Shaun started in Spurs. God, they've got to be bummed out about O.J. Simpson. the citizens of Brentwood are probably like, oh man, that ain't going to help property value. John Adams scouting Shaun Harrison, 20-year-old English striker for Tottenham. Shaun started in Spurs' U23 loss to Everton's U23s on Monday. By all accounts I've seen, says John, it was a worryingly lackluster performance from young Spurs and an anonymous performance from Harrison up top. The loss further solidifies Spurs' U23's position at the bottom of the Premier League 2 Division 1 table with just 9 points from 14 matches.
They need CCV to come and do some defending.
Yeah, there we go. John would like to see a loan for Harrison somewhere, as it feels like things are getting stale at the U23 level in North London, but there have been no rumours halfway through the window. Yikes.
More Spurs updates from Drew Samuels, scouting Marcus Edwards, the English Messi, the 18-year-old English attacking midfielder for Tottenham. For now, says Drew. Drew says Marcus is headed out on loan to Norwich! ! He hasn't gotten significant minutes with the Tottenham first team so far, but he should see more with the Canaries, where he will be taking the place of another former Spurs Academy player, Alex Pritchard, who was sold to Huddersfield this window. Norwich are currently 13th in the Championship. I would encourage everybody to keep an eye on Marcus Edwards. He's a very exciting, dribbly player.
I think that's also a really good move for him to go out on loan to a championship side where it's not sort of they're competing for promotion, so maybe he's not going to get that many minutes. I think it will end up being a good move, but maybe that's just wishful thinking because I want you to be happy, Daryl. Zebu A scouting Lucero Cuevas, 21-year-old Mexican striker for Club America. Cuevas opened her clausura account with a brace as Las Aguilas took down Pachuca 3-2. The first goal was a highlight reel chip from the edge of the area that found the top corner, and the second was a poacher's effort from a goalkeeping error.
All right, Lucero Cuevas. Ryan Marzak is scouting Pione Sisto, the 22-year-old Danish winger for Celta Vigo. Pione Sisto has started all 4 matches for Celta in 2018. They lost 6-1 on aggregate to Barca in the Copa del Rey.
Oof.
But on the semi-finals.
Yeah.
But on the bright side, Sisto was the lone goal scorer for Celta Vigo. Over the weekend, he scored the only goal in a 1-0 victory at Levante. These results leave Celta only 4 points behind the final Europa League spot.
I'm a little surprised we haven't heard more rumors about Pione Sisto because, that's right, I'm calling him Sisto now. I mean, I think at least a couple of weeks ago, he was the leading, he had the most assists in La Liga.
Pione Sisto because he's the league leader, La Liga leader.
But now he's scoring goals, he's doing things. I feel like he should be linked with a club already. Maybe he is. Maybe Ryan will let us know when he is.
He certainly will. But yeah, Ryan's on it. Ryan's on it. All right, thank you to everybody who sent scouting reports today. If you'd like to join the TSS Scouting Network, the URL is totalsoccershow.com/join. Taylor Rockwell, all that remains to say is you'll be joining me on stage tomorrow night.
I will.
Yeah, you will. So the two of us...
Right back at you, buddy, I guess is what I should have said.
Two of us and George will be doing George from Howler, will be doing the live show Thursday, Jose Pistolas, 7 p.m. The URL is fifa.wtf/Philly2018, lowercase p. George will be sending an email with the final details, but you can easily find Jose Pistolas in Philadelphia if you are in town.
Correct.
7 p.m. Thursday night.
Or your phone can, at least.
Or your phone can. Yeah, ask your phone. Ask Siri. She'll tell you. Really final things to say. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Right back at you, buddy.
Listeners, thank you for listening. We probably won't do a recorded show on Thursday because we'll have the live show, and we hope to put that out as well, so you'll get to hear that. We'll be back with another show on Friday, we hope, and we'll report back from what we've seen and what we've heard at the convention, where there's lots of presidential candidates.
Indeed.
Indeed there is. All right, we'll talk to you soon.